Hold on. Uh, Good evening, everybody. Today we're with William Dawson, and we're going to share a little bit of his story on his situation and his incarceration. Welcome, William.
Hello.
Why don't you share a little bit about where you're incarcerated at and how long you've been incarcerated?
Presently, I'm at the Belmont Correctional Institution in St. Clairsville, Ohio. I've been here since 2000, but I've been locked up since 1987.
Wow, the year I got locked up.
Yeah, so I've been here quite a while. In 87, September 87, I ended up shooting and by killing a police officer in Youngstown, Ohio. So I was convicted of murder under the pretense that he was sitting in his police car. And I walked up to the police car's driver's door and inserted my .22 handgun into the car's open window and shot him while he sat in his car. But that's not what actually happened.
Why don't you share what really happened, and let's get our listeners to think, on your situation. Maybe we can convince some of them to go with the truth.
Well, the officer's name was Paul Durkin, and for the most part, he was known to be a violent individual, and he was known to be one who thought he was above the law. But he was outside of his car when I shot him. He was standing behind me, holding me in a headlock, choking me. And for the most part, I think he was just so high off of drugs that he didn't realize that I had a gun.
And that's when you needed the body cams back then, too,
I can't hear you.
Too bad they didn't have the body cams back in those days.
No, they didn't have them back then at all.
Right.
But it was surely needed for that night. I was basically convicted because the jury or the prosecution and the police department made the jury think that he was sitting in his car when I shot him, and they done so by hiding all of the evidence that would have shown he was outside of his car.
Right.
At the time, I had on a black leather jacket, and under the black leather jacket, I had a shoulder holster 22 under my left arm. When I shot him, I shot through the coat. So when I got arrested, I'm telling them that y'all's account is wrong.
Right.
All you gotta do is look at the coat. The coat will show you. I shot him through that coat. Ain't no way I'm gonna shoot him through the coat with my back to the car and he's sitting in the car.
Right.
That don't make no sense. So I tell my attorney the next day when I go to arraignment, and he tells me he's going to look at the coat and see what's what, and we're going to go from there. So I see him like the next day or next 2 days.
Right.
And he comes up there. Now, I'm black. The officer was white.
Okay.
The officer, his family is high profile. At the time, he had a brother-in-law who was an assistant prosecutor for the county. His aunt or so was the clerk of the municipal courts. Her name was Rosemary Durkin. He had an uncle, I believe, who was the battalion chief for the fire department, and that's who came to pick his body up.
Right.
So, he was heavily connected, and even then, he had individuals that was state senators that are his family members, so he was just heavily connected. So, in a way, he's above the law. He was above the law.
Okay.
When I'm telling my attorney that, and he telling me he gonna check, so when I see him like that next day or the next 2 days, he come in with a guy named Reverend Lonnie Simon, who was coming to chaperone the case to make sure I was getting a fair shake.
Right.
So I'm telling Mr. Simon that when they see the bullet holes in the coat, they gonna know they can't get that off, they can't say he was in his car.
Right.
There's no way you're going to be able to prove that. So my attorney said right there, oh, I checked that coat. There aren't any bullet holes in that coat. So, you know, I was messed up after that. I didn't know what was going to be. I didn't know how to prove that he was outside of the car, outside of the bullet holes in the coat. So I never got to see my coat until I actually went to trial and was testifying.
Right.
And that's when I actually seen the coat. And so by that time, I had basically abandoned my the statement as to how everything happened. And, you know, I'm trying to find a way out of this here, lie or whatever. So while I'm testifying, I'm holding the coat, and my finger happened to slip through one of the bullet holes in the coat, but I don't know it.
Right.
So I picked the coat up, and I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing, and I'm, you know, it's still gunpowder around the bullet hole.
Right.
So now I know the bullet holes was in the coat, and my attorney was lying to me. So, but the thing is, I'm looking through the coat, and I'm only seeing 2 bullet holes. Now, I know I shot 4 times.
Right.
They claim that when I shot him, they claimed I shot him twice. Once in the upper left chest and once in the lower left abdomen.
Right.
But I actually shot him 4 times. I hit him in those 2 places, but I also shot him in his left arm, in the elbow pit area and in the lower wrist area.
Right.
Now, the ones in his arm, the bullet holes in his arm, they hid those. They suppressed those because they knew if they presented those, it was going to be an issue because ain't no way he could have been in a car and got shot in his arm and there was no blood splatter
Right.
in the car. And just as well, they was going to have to explain the fact that he had needle tracks in his arm, which showed he was a drug addict.
Right.
So they didn't want none of this stuff to be coming out and be shown.
It's so sad on how corrupt our system is.
Yes, that's how corrupt the system is, and it's back then, and it still is.
Right.
But I say, you know, I did what I could under what I was given.
Right. What is your
So,
sentence?
no,
Yeah. What is your sentence exactly?
I was a 3-year gun spec and 15 to life.
Okay, with parole, right?
Well, with parole.
Okay, so you should have gone already. You should have gone to the parole board at least twice, right?
Yeah, I've seen the parole board like 3 times. The last time I went was in 2019, June of 2019.
What did they give you?
When I went in, I think 8 years, I think.
Okay.
When I went to the parole board, before I went to the parole board, I wrote them a letter in 2018, and it was a big letter, and I sent them copies of my transcripts, different stuff in the case, pictures. I'm outlining the case, and I'm showing them what actually happened and how my conviction is not a valid conviction.
Right.
So, and I'm telling them, I'm letting them know that I'm a political prisoner, and to that point, I can't get the courts to do what they're supposed to do because they're all in these politics of keeping me in prison.
And the pro board don't want to pro you because you won't admit guilt to it.
I don't think they would let me go even if I did admit it.
Right.
But just as well, I'm saying this. I let them know all of that in the letter. So, and I told them that, you know, because of all the times I had been to the parole board, I had told them, as far as I'm concerned, y'all corrupt anyway. So y'all can do what y'all want to do, but I'm not coming to this hearing. So y'all can just send me y'all's answer in the mail. But after that had happened, the woman Shirley Smith came out, and she made it understood how corrupt the parole board was.
Yeah, but she was part of the corruption. She was one of the worst pro board members, though.
Huh?
She was one of the worst pro board members, though. I mean,
yeah, but when she did it, she made made it understood, though. So having done so, she made a crucial statement. She said it. If you are in prison for doing any type of harm to a policeman, a corrections officer, a parole board member, anything of that nature, you can forget a parole.
Right.
She made it understood that they have a policy not to parole individuals who have harmed police officers. So after she said that, I started rethinking my plan not to go.
Right.
So afterwards, when they got time, they called up here like 2-3 times and trying to clarify whether or not I was going to show up or not. And twice I told them no. And then I was like, when that last one said, yeah, I'm going to be here. I'm coming.
Right.
So when I did go, it was 4 parole board members on that panel. One of them was a woman named Tracy Valheimer, Scott Whitmer, Ron Nelson Jr., and what is it, Kathleen Kovac, or I think.
I think Tracy's gone.
I think, why is Tracy gone?
Yeah, he's gone too.
Why is Tracy gone?
I thought she was gone. I thought she retired or resigned.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why she has resigned. She has resigned because I have filed accusations by affidavit against her to cause prosecution.
Right.
And right now, I have pressed criminal charges against her for perjury.
Right.
And the rest of the parole board panel. So this is what happened. At the parole board hearing, I'm telling them that when I shot him, he was outside of his car.
Right.
He was standing behind me, holding me in a headlock, choking me. And basically, I had to pull my gun and shoot him in order to not get killed.
Right. So it was kind of self-defense.
Yes, it was self-defense.
And we didn't have a self-defense law back then until about 2 years ago.
Well, I think we had a self-defense law. It's a pattern, and you just have to. And I don't think it's no different than any other state, for real.
Right.
You just can't be the aggressor, and once you are the aggressor, you have to make it known that you're not aggressing anymore.
Correct.
And to that, yes, you do have a self-defense law. And but this is the thing was Valheimer and them, when they came into the parole board here, they made it understood. Yes, we read your letter.
Right.
So in the letter, I called them all corrupt. So they was looking really forward to that part.
Right.
And they was trying to give them retribution for calling them corrupt. And I just told the truth about how y'all do.
Right.
But like I say, I told them how I shot him. So at one point, Tracy said, "Well, we're not going to use your self-defense defense in this deliberation. So I'm going to ask you this here: were you justified in shooting him?" I told her, "Yes, I'm justified. He was choking me. I'm going to just let him choke me." And, so she looked at me like I was crazy, like I said, the most dumbest thing in the world.
Right.
So then she asked me again, and I repeated. So basically, she don't want me to say that. She want me to either say, like you're saying, yes, I did this, or no, it wasn't justified.
Right.
That's what she's looking for. So since I didn't give her what she wanted, when she wrote up the decision, and the decision she said, and he continues to feel justified in committing his offense. So basically what she's saying is, I admitted to shooting him while he sat in his car, and I felt that it was justified.
Right.
That's what she was saying. Well, that's what all 4 of them were saying, because they all of them agreed to it. So when they did that, that's when I started filing claims against them. Now, the first thing I filed was a mandamus action in the 10th district. So when I filed a mandamus action, they put attorney named George Horvath on the case.
Right.
Now, when Horvath answers, he comes with a motion to dismiss, and then he makes some perjuristic statements inside of it. He says that he tried to make it look like I did actually admit to shooting him while he sat in his car.
You had the public defender, correct?
About that trial?
Yes.
Yeah, when I was in trial, yes. Basically he was a public defender, but really he wasn't a public defender. That's another story.
Okay.
Another story. But
that's another video then.
Yeah, I should have never even been to trial with him because he was a boyfriend of Rosemary Durkin, the cop's aunt. He was her boyfriend.
Oh,
the
okay.
night that I caught this case, it was her re-election banquet. And my attorney was her date at that re-election banquet.
Huh.
So that's conflict all the way around the board. He should have never even been representing me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This came out at trial. This came out at trial. And once the judge heard it, and he heard it, and he still didn't even stop the case.
Huh.
Yes. But when Thalheimer did that, I had filed that mandamus action.
Right.
So when George Horvath come back with the response that he made, all the knows Horvath probably put something like a good 15 lies inside of his motion to dismiss.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this, and my mind is like, ain't no way I'm gonna get, because anytime an attorney come in here and he's telling lies like this here, he's telling you that he is in cahoots with the judge in his case, and they're gonna go against you together.
Right.
So when I see, I said, no, I'm gonna go on and voluntarily dismiss this case, and I'm gonna find a different venue to place this case into, so as to protect my rights.
Right.
So voluntarily dismiss the case, and I made, okay, I'm gonna go into the court of claims with this here. So I filed this case into the court of claims against the parole board, and I filed a claim against Horvath for telling those lies in that 10th district case. So, what's this? Lindsay, I think the attorney's name was Lindsay Grant, who they put on the case to handle in the court of claims.
Okay.
And he came in doing some of the same stuff that Horvath did. So I ain't got no alternative really to go in battle with them right there, because I can't dismiss it and go into another case court now. I gotta go in battle with them. So when he do that, I filed a motion to strike his motion to dismiss and to basically place him in contempt of court, because he was just telling straight out blatant lies. So, and I asked him to award me $5,000 for having to defend against the lies. So he returns a response, and his response is basically he's trying to say that I filed my motion to strike under Civil Rule 12F, but I didn't. I filed it under Civil Rule 11, and there's a difference between those two.
Right.
So being under Civil Rule 11, I can move to strike anything filed in there. Under Civil Rule 12, only thing I can move to strike is a pleading. So since I was moving to strike his motion to dismiss, my Civil Rule 11 claim was appropriate.
Right.
So when he came back saying that I was filing under Civil Rule 12F, that was a straight out contempt right there.
Right.
That's straight out contempt. You lying. And it's on face value right there in front of the court. They see this. They see my motion and it says Civil Rule 11. And you screaming talking about it's Civil Rule 12F. That's a straight out contempt site.
Right.
So filed a motion to place him in contempt of court, and I asked the court to move that he provide me with $50,000 for telling that lie. The court, knowing that they can't beat me, and knowing they had to bring me in for these here contempt proceedings, because both of them basically are contempt proceedings, but they knew they had to bring me in for that. So to keep him from being embarrassed, to keep their establishment from being embarrassed, they dismissed my case.
Huh.
Yes, they dismissed the case.
Yeah, we're gonna call this one part 1. You have about 4 minutes left on this one. Then we're gonna do a part 2. Okay. Okay, because if we do it too long, we just lose listeners.
Say
Yeah.
again?
If we do it too long, it's a lot for people to listen to, and you have such an important
Okay.
story, you really can't fit it in all in one video.
So I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it for the night because I don't even know what time they turn these off.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do another on part 2 sometime next week. You just tell me when.
What
Right.
time? Okay, they turn these off at 10:45.
Right.
So how much time we got left? We
We
got a
got-
little while.
Yeah. On the YouTube, it only goes up to like 25 minutes on this one, so you got 5 minutes
Okay.
still on this one.
So you want to keep going or stop?
Yeah.
Stop.
Keep going.
Okay, now the claim they came with, the claim that Attorney Grant was coming with, he was trying to say that my claim against the parole board had to be dismissed because they had discretionary immunity
Right.
under the Court of Claims statute, and they don't have it. Against the Attorney General's office, they were saying that. Now, I based my claim under Revised Code 109.362A.
Right.
Now, that's a valid claim there. That was a valid defense that they presented. But I let them know that I'm going to amend this here complaint, and I'm going to change it from 109.362A to 2323.51.
Right.
And they can't get around that one because that's what that statute was based on. It was explicitly for anytime the attorney generals and other litigants are basically filing frivolous stuff. That's what it was for. So they can't get around that, and they knew they couldn't.
Right.
But the discretionary immunity defense says this here. This is why they couldn't get around this here. Once Shirley Smith made that statement saying that the parole board has a policy not to provide paroles to individuals who have hurt policemen, once she made that statement, she made it understood under 2743.02A1. The parole board, when they heard my case, they were not creating a policy because the policy had already been made. And that's what the cases of Reynolds versus the state and Foster, that's what those cases are based on. That's what they tell you. And Reynolds is the seminal case, and it tells you the parole board can be held liable if they did not create a policy.
Right.
And like I'm saying, and if a policy, they made a decision based on a policy, they are suable.
Okay. Right now, why don't you give your contact information in case if somebody would like to pay you or someone would like to offer their help? Because we only got like 2 minutes left, and then we'll do part 2 next week.
You can send stuff through my Facebook. I got a Facebook, an Instagram. I believe it's a TikTok as well. Justice 4 William Dawson Jr. They can get on my JPay and contact me through that. Lots of people that found me. Folks I ain't heard from since I was 12 years old and got on my JPay. And
What is your institutional number so they could put it in their JPay?
I do not know that.
Your state, the ID that you had, like. Yeah.
My institution number is A200473.
Boy, that is an old number.
This is Belmont Correctional Institution at Post Office Box 540, St. Clairsville, Ohio. And I don't even remember what the zip code is.
Yeah, I opened up Belmont years ago.
Belmont?
Yeah, I opened it up. We only had one dorm open at that time. So,
yeah, it's a much different looking institution.
But folks, we're going to do part 2 sometime next week. Tomorrow night, we're going to do Jim Love on his book, but I want to get part 2 done with Mr. Dawson. I think he's got a story that needs to be told, and he's one person that should have been home already. And he was not guilty of what they convicted him of. So this is something to look at and see if you can offer some help. Please share this video, share it with the news media, your Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok. And let's get the message. You got anything you want to say before we close this? Well, you have anything you want to say before we close this video?
Right. Yesterday I sent out of here a accusation by affidavit to cause arrested prosecution or criminal cases against 13 different individuals. And some of those are parole board members, court of claims, judge.
Right.
It's a lot of them. And I'm trying to get all of them because all of them are criminals.
Right.
All of them have been doing things to keep me from getting.
You have 1 minute remaining.
So keep your eyes open and look for these cases and make these people stand up and do what they're supposed to do. Because that's the problem.
Yeah. Send me a message on the next day you want to do the video and what time, and we'll make it happen, okay?
I got you.
Okay.
Right,
Okay, everybody. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. Okay, William.